Hi everyone, it's Peter from 30k Forgotten Legion, and this is going to be a bit of a different thing from what we usually do. Usually do battle reports, or mainly me really playing battle reports, and they usually, sort of clip them on different things like after turns and shooting phases and stuff like that. But today's going to be completely different. It's going to be a bit of a series really. We're going to basically talk about each army. So we've got 18 legions to get through, and we're going to start with the 4th legion. John is joining me today because he is the Iron Warriors master.
Too kind.
So we're going to basically delve really much into a bit of lore, how they play as an army, loads of different things, and then thrash that out and see what we come out of really. So that's kind of the plan today. And all right, so we'll just crack straight on.
Sure thing. Right. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I guess the first question would be, why Iron Warriors?
So I've been playing Horus Heresy now for about 7 years, I think, and I started in version 1. And when I decided to get involved in Heresy, a few of my friends were already playing, and I had to choose a legion. So there's plenty to choose from. And my friend Tom came around, he brought the book with him, and we went through the legions, and I decided to pick one that wasn't already taken by another player. And I think it took me all of 30 seconds to pick the Iron Warriors. In short, I always play the bad guys anyway. I love playing the bad guys, they have the most fun. So I chose the Iron Warriors because they were a traitor legion, even though they're not evil. You know, they're considered bad, especially in your viewpoint.
Oh yeah, of course.
And and also what I liked about them as well is that they're a long-range army, and a lot of the other armies I've played in the past, either in Fantasy Battle or in 40k, they haven't been long-range, been medium-range, what have you. So just the idea of taking a gun line was actually quite a different choice for me. So I chose the Iron Warriors based on those two things really, that no one else had taken them, and that they looked like a decent solid list with a lot of long-range firepower, and that appealed to me as a new way of playing.
Yeah, I like that. I think if you end up having the same people with the same armies, I think it can get somewhat, dull.
Yeah.
There's no change in there. So I think it's great when people do have a look at Heresy armies, if they look at their player group, if everyone's got Blood Angels, what's the point in a Blood Angel player? Really good idea. So, I don't know if that many people were playing Iron Warriors in the group, do they?
In our gaming group, one other person played Iron Warriors in 40k, and he ported across. That's Pete. He ported across and brought the Iron Warriors with him as well. But at the time in 2017, there was no one else playing Iron Warriors, so I picked them up. And of course, the extra bonus as well is that they're quite easy to paint. Which for me is a big bonus, because anyone who knows me will say I'm a reluctant painter at the best of times. So the whole lead belcher spray, non-oil, it's a winning combination.
Yeah. Well, you've got some painted models.
I've got painted models, absolutely. Yeah. So that was an extra factor as well. You look at something like the Emperor's Children with their armor, or the Blood Angels, and it's such a chore for someone like me to have to paint. Yeah. So knowing that the Iron Warriors are quite easy to paint now is a big bonus too. And I know that a lot of other Iron Warriors players feel the same way as well. They love their quick and easy methods to get them battle ready. It's all good.
Awesome. All right, great. What we'll do in a little while, we'll probably have a little more of a closer look, because at the moment obviously the camera's quite far away. Have a closer look at your models you've got on display.
Yeah, sure.
That you've put out for us. So that'd be great. Have a look at them.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. That's a great answer. Okay, so second thing.
Yeah.
I guess to talk about is, obviously you've been playing for a while, since the outset.
Yeah. Not since the beginning of version 1, but I played 4 or 5 years at least of version 1. So I think it was 7 or 8 years old. So I think I played for the majority of version 1. I think.
Excellent. Okay. So I guess the question would be, how has it changed from version 1 to version, where we are now, version 2?
Oh, good question. Right. So as I mentioned earlier, Iron Warriors in version 1 was definitely gun line. It was, the Legion specific units like the Tyrant Siege Terminators, the Iron Havocs, they all fed into the idea of standing a good 36 to 48 inches away and just absolutely decimating the opponents at range. You would just, get your dustpan and brush and get them to take their models off the battlefield. Basically, it was horrible. So Iron Warriors version 1, without doubt, Hammer of Olympia as well. It used to give you a 4th heavy support choice, which was a massive draw for Iron Warriors players. That 4th heavy support choice made a massive amount of difference. Since the change over to version 2, I'd say arguably if you want to play to their strengths and their new kind of Legion-specific weaponry and rights of war, it's actually made them a little bit more mid-range rather than long-range.
Okay.
The Legion-specific units still operate at best at long range. However, things like shrapnel bolters and the iron fire right of war, they encourage you to get close. I mean, shrapnel bolters shoot only at 18 inches away. And if you've got several tactical squads all armed with shrapnel bolters and their effective range is 18, but their really good range is 9 inches, then you've got to close that gap now. So the major change really from 1 to 2 is that Iron Warriors have had to close the gap a little more. You can still play version 1 style, you can still build a gun line and sit there at range and blast away, but these days Iron Warriors do close the gap a little bit more if you want to make the most of what they now take and use.
That's interesting because as you say, like, you know, I think before they were more sort of, you know, sit back army, but now as you point out with the shrapnel bolters, and they're pinning, aren't they? I think
they are pinning. Yeah. We'll go into those in a moment. But yeah, the shrapnel bolters are pinning. But the minute you upgrade from normal bolters to shrapnel, you lose 6 inches of range on the bolters alone. And you can't really afford, if you've got say 3 tactical squads, you can't really afford to have them sat out of range, not shooting every turn. Because that's a good 400 to 500 points doing nothing every turn really. So closing that gap now is quite important. So they will lo and behold, advance towards the enemy these days.
Plod forward.
That's it, plod forwards and then plod backwards.
And start shooting.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess I'm just going to throw a little bit of a, not a curveball, but so with, I guess what do you prefer?
Between 1 and the 2? Crikey, well, I think any Iron Warriors player would probably agree with me that version 1 really was our heyday. It was a glorious time. Obviously, that 4th heavy support choice was an absolute joy. You had 2 really strong rights of war in version 1. Hammer of Olympia, as I mentioned, gave you a 4th heavy support choice. So you were spoilt there. And the Iron Fire in version 1 as well. God. Yeah, that's it. When barrage weaponry and templates like Basilisks and Medusae were really, really good, in version 1, getting hammered with those with a D6 scatter or no scatter, combined with the stubborn effects around those blasts as well, it was absolutely Iron Warriors' heyday. So it was glorious times in version 1, and it would be no surprise if Iron Warriors were always a decent threat in version 1, if not victorious, because when played well, they were horrendous.
I think they could they run after they got shot or something? Is that a thing?
No, I don't think that was Iron Warriors.
I don't remember. Maybe I'm getting mixed up there.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe I'm forgetting as well. But
but
yeah, version 1 was horrendous. In version 2, they got different benefits. All the Graviton Crusher weaponry has come in now, something we never had in version 1. So we've all got these haywire beat sticks now. Shrapnel bolters causing pinning. You know, they're arguably better, arguably worse. But the rights of war have without doubt been toned down a little bit, and they've got a few negatives that kind of kick in now. So yeah, I'd say without doubt version 1 was easier, easier for the Iron Warriors.
That's good though.
Yeah, and version 2, they're still good. But the question as to which one I prefer, well, if I was playing to win, I'd say version 1 without doubt, because it was much easier. But I do like the variety and the differences of version 2, and as we go into it and we talk a bit more about what the Iron Warriors have to offer now, I'll explain what I do like and what's come along that was different from before.
Awesome stuff. Okay. Great answer, great stuff. All right, so yeah, sort of moving on a little bit. So we're going to talk a little, elaborate, I guess, a little bit more about. We're going to go over sort of, if you don't mind, Legion rules, what weaponry I have, and then after that, go on to their sort of advanced reaction, because everyone's got a specific one, haven't they? So yeah, if we can start with maybe Legion rules and weaponry, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. So the Iron Warriors Legion rules very, very simple. It's called Rack and Ruin, and quite simply, when they're shooting against certain targets or they're in melee with certain targets, they get +1 strength. So it's you get this right, it's vehicles, it's automata, it's dreadnoughts, I think bunkers and buildings as well. So it's just a flat +1 strength for shooting and melee. And melee is not to be underestimated. A lot of people focus on the shooting because Horus Heresy involves a lot of shooting. But when all your melee weaponry against those targets gets +1 strength, it's a lovely little bonus as well. So the obvious thing with Rack and Ruin is it makes things like your typical 10-man las cannon squad that everyone seems to take, it makes those strength 10. And then people who might have a Spartan with a flare shield suddenly have a little bit of a trickle of sweat down their brow when they think the las cannons are only going to penetrate them on 6s, and suddenly it's 5s and 6s, glancing and penetrating. You know, melter weaponry going up to strength 9 will be wounding dreadnoughts on 2s. And as I said, with things like combat, I mean, crack grenades in a tactical marine's hand against a dreadnought goes up to strength 7. So I have now before thrown loads of tactical marines at a contempted dreadnought, plastered him with crack grenades, and then just caused 4, 5, 6 wounds, and then all you need is the occasional one, and suddenly the dreadnought's in a bit of trouble. Put in a graviton mace or a power fist, and suddenly the dreadnought can be in real trouble. Especially if he whiffs his attacks and he causes 1 or 2 casualties. So the rack and ruin rule really does help in many respects. Again, things like autocannons going from strength 7 in infantry hands to strength 8 against the right targets, you can shred vehicles. The rule is nice and easy to follow. It's not complicated as to what you can and can't shoot. It's all the armoured choices for the most part. And it's easy to apply, but it's really effective as well. I mean, one problem, of course, is that we've got armatures which haven't been classified. They slip through the net. Armatures
kind of problem.
Because they're not technically affected by haywire. They're not classified as a vehicle or a dreadnought or automata.
I think some have Eternal Warrior. I think.
I think they have.
It's horrendous. You've got a wound and how many wins? They got 6 or something.
Something like baby dreadnoughts, aren't they? But they slip through the net. So I'm hoping at some point that'll be FAQ'd or addressed one way or another, just to know that armatures are or are not definitely affected by rack and ruin, because as it is at the moment, they dodge the bullet, so to speak.
I get it. I like that rule because it's very much sort of, I guess, they take those things on, don't they? They take those harder targets on. Like they are a sort of from the outset a legion that is set to take on high strength defensive works, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's what they're designed to do. Crack. Siege sort of legion, I suppose. Any planets that are, I guess, really going to hold out, shove the Iron Warriors down there, they'll crack enough.
That's it, will die trying. And no one will even notice either way.
No one notices, don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's awesome. So rack and ruin. Any other ones?
Yeah, sure. So the Legion specific weaponry, you've got 2 things here. You've got, as mentioned a moment ago, shrapnel weaponry.
Oh yes.
So shrapnel weaponry, it's, in my opinion, for version 2, shrapnel weaponry is a mixed bag. Typical Iron Warriors bitterness here. No, who can imagine? Some legions, their legion specific weaponry is either free or it only comes with benefits.
Okay.
The Iron Warriors one comes with drawbacks, and also you have to pay for it as well.
Okay.
And I know that creates mixed feelings towards shrapnel weaponry, and I know some Iron Warriors players just won't touch it on that principle alone.
Right, fair enough.
Because obviously, if you've got drawbacks to your weaponry and you're paying for it as well, it might cross the line into being a detriment.
Right.
But anyway, shrapnel weaponry, in short, the bolters and bolt pistols become shrapnel bolters and shrapnel pistols, and the bonus they get, the only bonus they get, this is it, they cause pinning. Okay, now pinning's not so bad, right?
It's extremely good.
Exactly. It is. I won't deny that for 1 minute.
No.
So the good side to taking shrapnel weaponry on the smaller infantry squads, your bolters and your pistols, is it causes pinning. The downside is that you lose range and you lose your AP to AP dash. So if you're facing militia, suddenly they get all their armor saves from bolters. And also it's 2 points per model. So
it is expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. It racks up really quickly. I mean, just on a tactical squad, you're paying 20 points immediately on a 100-point tactical squad just to give them 10 bolters. That's not the bolt pistols as well. It's just the bolters.
I guess that pinning is such a nightmare and is such a horrible part of the game. I think that I think it's quite well costed for that purpose. It is. Pinning is such a problem. I think, and I know a lot of other events have changed their rules essentially.
Oh right.
To sort of lessen pinning and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, like when you have a whole army that pins you, like not so much the Iron Warriors, but 1,000 Suns casting out lots of telepathic stuff, and your whole army's pinned. It's no fun. So people are, I guess, trying to get fearless units in there, but how can you do that? You could have got a Primarch or a Herald, I think.
Yeah.
There's very few ways to get fearless units.
Yeah, this is true.
Unless you have dreadnoughts.
Yeah. I agree. It's well costed at 2 points model, but as I say, the problem is you get your drawbacks with it. If it was just 2 points and your bolters became penning, then I think fine. But the minute you're 6 inches shorter in range and you've got no AP, it starts to really sting you. You know, an Iron Warrior squad will be outshot by another tactical squad by a good 6 inches range. And believe me, I've been on the receiving end of that many times where you can't shoot back, you can't return fire, or you're out of interceptor range, all these sorts of things because you lost that 6 inches.
Yeah.
It gets even worse when you go up to the shrapnel cannon, which are the heavy bolter equivalents, because they lose 12 inches of range. So yeah, exactly. So it's only they lose 24 inches. Yeah. So if you're putting a shrapnel cannon either on a heavy bolter squad or you're putting it on vehicles, they've only got 24-inch range. And again, it's, you lose 12 inches, you lose your AP, and you're paying for it, but all you get is pinning back. So I think the Iron Warriors community is a little bit divided on yay or nay. I do honestly, I fluctuate between the two. Sometimes I'll take 2 or 3 squads with shrapnel bolters everywhere and just take the points hit on the chin and the range. Other times I play without it, and that can be successful as well because you get Fury of the Legion to shoot at range with bolters normally anyway, and suddenly you're doing more damage at a greater range, which is the Iron Warriors way, but just without the pinning. So that's shrapnel bolters or shrapnel weaponry. It's a mixed bag.
Maybe it's like you said earlier. Maybe they've sort of forced the Iron Warriors forward because version 1 you could sit back. So maybe that was a design thing, either inadvertently or on purpose.
I think so.
That they forced them forward to get in range of that sort of shrapnel.
Absolutely.
Stuff.
Yeah, that would be a very good get around if you could make their specialist weaponry shorter in range, and they're going to have to close more. And you're right. Maybe the version 2 designers had enough of version 1 gun lines, and they're like, right, let's make them walk forward.
Get them forward.
Yeah. So moving on from the shrapnel weaponry is the Graviton Crusher weaponry.
Right.
So these are replacements for maces, thunder hammers, and then you've got the big clunky version as well, like the kind of the Iron Circle or Dreadnought hammer equivalent.
Cool.
And Graviton weaponry, in essence, gives it haywire, which is actually surprisingly
good.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good. My Master of Signals, even though he spends most of his games stood at the back of the battlefield, he's got a Graviton mace. So if you picture,
is that chap there?
It is that chap there.
Someone have a look at him later.
Way over there. Yeah. He's got Graviton mace, which basically means if you think of console stats, he's weapon skill 5. He's got 3 attack space. Then he'll have an additional weapon because it's not a specialist weapon, so that'll be 4 attacks. If he's charging, perchance, that'll be 5 attacks. But that's 5 attacks with a haywire beat stick. So you can go into a dreadnought and cause.
And you've got your +1 against dreads as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's haywire anyway, but it'll be bonking with a haywire stick, which will So it's no bad thing.
I think haywire just reminds people on a 1 it's nothing.
That's right.
2
to 5, I believe, is your invulnerable saves only, and 6s go through the invulnerable saves. I mean, many people have had dreadnoughts or similar, or vehicles even, get close to my gun lines maybe when things aren't quite going so strategically well for me, only for that lunatic to go barreling out with his Graviton mace and then bonk a Land Raider to death. Exactly. It's a bit of a rude awakening sometimes.
It's funny.
Yeah, so I absolutely rate the Graviton mace, the simple version. And despite my groaning about shrapnel weaponry, they are a free replacement for a power weapon.
Wow, that is good.
Yeah, exactly. So your Master of Signals will come with a power weapon, and then you start upgrades to a Graviton mace for free, so that's good.
Yeah.
The Thunderhammer version you don't see taken so much because obviously Thunderhammers are so great at strength 8, brutal 2, insta killing normally toughness 4 models. The Graviton Hammer version for infantry is only +2 strength. So it'll be strength 6. So you don't have the brutal, I don't think, and you don't have the instant killing. So if it's a toss up between having a Thunder Hammer or taking a Graviton Hammer equivalent, I think most people go for the Thunder Hammer every time.
Yeah, Thunder Hammers are so good.
They are.
All my fire drakes have them.
Yeah,
pretty much. One with a chain fist. But, also, I mean, I think Graviton weapons are such a cheeky little underrated thing, aren't they? People forget how insanely good. Yeah. Because I think that there's not much stuff that has it unless you're like Mechanicum. Yeah. Not much stuff has a great range of can get a lot of it. Yeah. And then that sneaky thing that the other day I was playing with one of my dreads and it got annihilated by just mass amounts of Graviton hits.
That's it.
And it wasn't he sort of moved a bit, dead.
Yeah.
Once he I think 1 or 2 squads shot him. Normally You know what dreads are like? They stay around for ages, don't they? But,
Yeah. That's it. And given the current meta, version 2 dreadnoughts are everywhere.
Yeah.
So having haywire weaponry everywhere that counters dreadnoughts everywhere is a wonderful little meta within a meta.
It does. It does. You know, it does sort it out a little bit for that army. If you haven't got access to a lot of graviton, then you're still in trouble from dreadnoughts, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and the final one is the biggest version, which goes on dreadnoughts and on the Iron Circle.
Okay.
And they're quite shockingly good because they are brutal 2 with haywire.
Oh.
So if you get clonked with that, it's super high strength. Against, obviously, if you're hitting a dreadnought or armor, it's +1 strength again. But anyway, it's brutal 2 when you're being clonked. So every hit does 2 haywire impacts. So
and that's on the dreadnoughts.
So you can take them as a dreadnought upgrade, or they call them the Iron Circle as standard. However, I know that again it's a division within the Iron Warriors players because some players have put graviton, the graviton hammer equivalent on a dreadnought, but it's still maybe not as good as the brutal 3 power fist. You know, the Gravis power fist, but it's brutal 3, and which in Iron Warriors comes strength 10. You know, strength 10 power fist against other dreadnoughts vehicles is great.
So that version is brutal 2.
Yeah, the graviton version is a brutal 2 hammer. So you can still dish out a load of haywire hits, but sometimes you're better just punching things to death with a Gravis power fist than you are trying to haywire it.
Dreadnoughts are so undercosted, really, when you think of what they do. A basic one with essentially a setup, you have the multi-mount, just twin links, and just greatest power fist. Yeah, and it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the graviton weaponry. So as I say, mixed bag. I personally
like it.
Yeah. It's flavourful. It's something that didn't exist in version 1.
Great.
So they brought it in. 'Cause I think every legion, he says, hopefully, I think every legion was given a specific weaponry, a legion specific weaponry for version 2.
We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah, I'm sure we corrected if not. But I think every legion was given a specific weaponry of some kind, and so the Iron Warriors for version 2 got the graviton weaponry, which is.
I love it, and I don't really know about this, and hopefully everyone else that's watching that doesn't play Iron Warriors doesn't know either. So it's really good to get this information. So it's awesome to hear it firsthand from from yourself who's played it for so long. So shrapnel bolters and your graviton maces and graviton whatever they're called on the dreadnought.
I'm not entirely sure. Not the big hammer, not the infantry version.
Yeah, awesome.
And then the other kind of Iron Warriors specific is the Warsmith upgrade.
Okay. Right.
So some legions get like a Centurion upgrade or a Consul upgrade. The Iron Warriors don't get that. Instead, they get the Warsmith, which is a Praetor upgrade.
Yeah.
So it goes on a Praetor who can either be an Artificer armor, Cataphracti, or Tartarus armor, and it's 20 points, and it gives them a Cortex controller for the inevitable kind of big roboty guys, and it gives them a servo arm as well. Which of course is brilliant. I'll mention that in a moment, get into more detail with that. And then it also gives you Battlesmith 3+ for repairing tanks and walkers, everything like that. Now, I think for 20 points, this is a steal. I think it's brilliant. The main reason being, obviously, that it gives you a strength 8 power fist, if you like.
That's quite nice.
Yeah. And of course, with a servo arm, using the rules, it gives you +1 attack. And using the FAQ, you can either use your normal weapon, whatever it may be, or you can fight all your attacks through the servo arm.
Oh, bloody hell, that's really good.
That's it. Wow. So basically, my Praetor, or my Warsmith, has a Paragon blade, and he also has the servo arm because he's a Warsmith. So when he's in combat, he can either choose to go at initiative with his Paragon blade, and then he still gets 1 attack through his strength 8 claw up top.
Of course.
Or against the right kind of opponent or the wrong kind of opponent, I can forego the Paragon blade, drop to initiative 1, and then get 5 basic attacks with servo arm.
And he's weapon skill 6, is he?
Praetor, absolutely.
A Warsmith, sorry.
So if he's going against certain targets, he suddenly gets 5 attacks base at strength 8, weapon skill 6, and if he's going against like a dreadnought, he'll suddenly be strength 9 with 5 attacks.
And is that your Warsmith there?
This chap just here.
So you've got Cataphracti plate, so that's great, isn't it? So you can take those hits hopefully,
and then extra wound.
Extra
wound for 4 wounds.
That's great, isn't
it?
Yeah. God, you've got 4 wounds. As long as no one's got a chance of doubling you out. Actually, hitting them on the head with the servo arm of attack has probably got a good thing. Yeah,
it's a calculated risk, and quite often I think I will just suck it up, hope I survive, then just give out a whole load of strength 8 attacks with the servo arm.
Yeah, so, and if you're fighting against something like a dreadnought, then you'd be strength 9, is that right? Because
that's right. That's it. Dreadnoughts, vehicles, all sorts of things. So yeah, you get the +1. So he'll be strength 9.
Oh.
Yeah, so he can hopefully, if he's in
Yeah.
a squad
Yeah,
where he can
absolutely.
be picked out, he can go toe to toe with the Dreadnought
Absolutely,
easily.
yeah. So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking if he's got some ablative, wounds, some iron circle or whatever they're called,
the Dominators.
Dominators, sorry,
Yeah.
to help him out. Iron circle are the bigger ones, aren't they?
They are
Yeah,
indeed,
so
yeah.
the Dominators to help him out, then he can just happily smack the Dreadnoughts in the head.
Yeah.
That's well good.
Yeah,
And with his weapons till 6, you hit them on freeze.
Yeah.
And then strength is 9, isn't he? So
Choose to wound.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
With a few extra hits, that's gonna take a healthy Dreadnought out, isn't it?
Well, if he's with a bunch of tactical marines with strength 7 crack grenades,
Yeah.
try and take it down in the turn.
He's got some sandbags with him.
That's ablative armour.
But to be fair, that is the armour away.
It is.
Throw them forward, they'll die.
Throw the corpses in and
Yeah.
just don't know they're dead yet.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'd always recommend the Warsmith upgrade. Some rights of war demand that you take it anyway.
Yep.
If you take Hammer of Olympia, you need to have a Warsmith. But I think, as I mentioned, for 20 points, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
20 points to get Battlesmith, to get the servo arm.
Yeah.
It's a great upgrade.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a joy to take. So
when he fixes things, how does that work? Is it in place for something else?
I think it's in lieu of a shooting attack.
That's all right.
And he has to be in base-to-base contact
Okay.
with it, which has caught me out before when I've forgotten that he actually has to be physically touching it. He can't just be in the same squad.
That makes sense.
It does. I mean, I've sometimes run my Praetor, my Warsmith, with Iron Circle, the big roboty guys, but he still needs to be physically touching them with his base to repair a wound on them on a 3+, which you might forget. But you'd think being in a squad would be enough where you stood next to them, but you actually got to be
too far away.
Too far away. Can't quite reach with his spanner.
Too far away.
But yeah, I mean, that's worked well with my Warsmith. I'll mention that in a while when we go through the units. But yeah, I've certainly had my Warsmith plodding along with 2 or 3 Iron Circle, catching them up on a 3-up, extra wound to turn. So just kind of removes that damage slightly. So yeah, the Warsmith overall, I think is a great little upgrade, very characteristic of Iron Warriors.
Definitely.
And if you've got a Praetor, why the hell wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
The last thing is the advanced reaction.
Okay, right, cool.
So the advanced reaction, which I'm sure anyone who's played Iron Warriors is more than aware of, because it drives people insane.
Yeah, we'll talk about it as well, aren't we?
Yeah, it's the appropriately named Bitter Fury, where basically a unit just decides to obliterate itself and the enemy by unleashing twice the amount of shots it should do, with the risk or the punishment of gets hot. Now, when the rules first came out for this and people read it or skim read it, the interpretation, quite common sense, quite sensibly, was that it's the unit being shot at chooses to do it. Now,
and this is where we get to.
And this is where we're going to get to. The problem is that the wording isn't that great. And in Bitter Fury, it doesn't say the reacting unit, it says the reacting player. So if you shot one of my units and I'm the reacting player, I can choose to shoot back at your unit with any given unit I want, technically within the rules, which no one knows what.
Is there a range to that?
Well, just weapon range. So there's no 12, 24, 36. It's just if you were within range, I could pick a unit to shoot at you with it.
Say for instance, you had a squad on the left hand periphery of the board.
Yeah.
And then a 10-man Lascan squad on the right hand periphery of the board.
Yeah.
And the left one's got shot. The right ones could shoot you back.
Absolutely.
That's horrendous.
With double the amount of shots.
Oh God.
Yeah. And so the problem is we don't know the rules writer's intentions. So some people would claim that it's a return fire with a lot more vengeance behind it. And I can certainly see the argument for that. You're shooting a unit, they realise they're going down, so they just unleash everything they've got before they're evaporated. The other argument might be that the Iron Warriors are so fed up of being shot at that another unit also decides to unload from a distance into that unit instead. So it's very hard to call the rules writer's intentions, but have a look yourselves if you want. But going by the lettering of it,
I feel it's badly wrote.
It is badly done. So as it currently stands, it seems like any given unit can return fire with double tapping against the unit that the enemy chose to shoot with. And so you suddenly get a kind of an interesting moral dilemma about how you play that rule, and I would love for it to be clarified, or just someone to say from the GW team it's absolutely played this way or that way.
Could you do that? Is with a unit out of line of sight? Say for instance a Scorpio.
I think there's restrictions on it. Things like you can't. Well, even that's not that clear.
Oh, God.
I know. Again, because it's got parentheses. It's got a subclass in the rules. It says you cannot fire weapons that are out of line of sight.
Right.
Brackets, parentheses, like barrage,
Okay.
but that's not particularly clear on if the unit, which is barrage, is in line of sight. So if you've got a Scorpius that can see the enemy target, it's not out of sight, but it is barrage, but the parentheses said like barrage.
Yeah.
So it's like, so it's not that clear, but so the ramifications of Bitter Fury are essentially that.
How do you play it?
Oh gosh, horribly. 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 So
good.
It's when you fire with the right target, you will obliterate whatever is going at you. A classic of mine is to obviously have a 10-man las cannon squad, not Ein Havoc's, normal 10-man las cannon squad.
Yep.
And the first thing that looks at them funny, which is a nasty threat, they'll just get 20 las cannon shots back at them.
Yep.
And I know full well the las cannon squad of mine is going to suffer heavily. I might lose 3 or 4 models from Gets Hot if you're unlucky, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. Likewise, if someone shoots at, say, the las cannon squad, and I know that they're going to get mulched anyway, just why not? If you're getting shot at by another enemy las cannon squad who are going to kill 6 or 7 of you, why not just hit a Fury, because you're going to take your models off anyway.
And it's a good rule. I like the rule. I really do like the rule, but I think that mix up with I can shoot anyone. I think it can make people a little bit sour, can't it? I think, because you can think, really, I'm shooting that unit, and then you're shooting me with them over there. Like, that can't be right. And unfortunately, when they're not, wrote very clearly, then other people's interpretation can be different, can't it? And who's right, who's wrong? Who knows until there's an FAQ?
Absolutely.
Or some sensible sort of heads, I guess. But it's a tough one, isn't it? But it's a great rule. I love the idea of it.
Me too. Yeah.
They're like, right, have that, and they're giving it some back. So
so it can be used if you know a decent firing unit is going to be wiped out. It can be great to use it then. Likewise, if you want to just gamble and hope you don't roll many ones, then you can go for anything. Like if a dreadnought shoots at you with, I don't know, plasma cannon or something, your las cannon squad can open fire back. You're not going to lose most of the squad, but you'll certainly take that dreadnought down with 20 las cannon shots.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've done it with Tyrant Siege Terminators, who then unleash 4 crack missiles per Tyrant Siege Terminator. So that's a whole salvo of strength 8 AP3. Yeah, I know, it is horrible. So it really has its uses, and if you pick the right weaponry, like with the Tyrant Siege Terminators, for example, they've got twin link bolters, which they'll return fire twice with, but they're twin links. So the chances of rolling a 1 are actually very slim. So you're looking at 2 shots, maybe if you're rapid fire range, 2 shots, 3's to hit, re-rolling, and then the number of Gets Hot 1s you're going to roll are actually quite low.
I mean, I think what we talked about with the whole reactions is it's that thing where in this game you actually do have to be careful about what you just fire that odd bolter at.
Of course,
Oh, I just shoot that bolter. I've got 2 guys in range. They'll shoot that unit. You need to make sure it doesn't happen. If they've got shooting reactions left, because if of course that happens, you have a rhino. I'm just in range of that last council down. Just shoot one of them. That's the rhino dead on return fire, isn't it? So
I'm sure we've all fallen into that trap where we've just lazily gone, I'm going to shoot this contemptor at that squad, and then they go return fire, and you go, oh no.
That's 10
That's right.
No, 20.
That's right.
No.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Bitter Fury is great. It's very flavourful. It's horrendous to be on the receiving end of it. Most of the time, it will absolutely obliterate whatever whatever pokes the hornet's nest. As I said, I wish it was refined rules-wise one way or another, so that we could play it without any sense of guilt or ambiguity, or someone kind of looking at you with a side eye going, really? And you're like, maybe. So, I must admit, for the majority of the time, I have not played it with any unit, but recently I have been playing it with any unit because it's okay. And, I don't want to
Is it though?
Yeah, well, that's it. I'll leave that to my conscience.
Exactly,
I'm an Iron Warriors player, so I have no conscience. So there you go. That's it. So so some clarification would be fine. Would be appreciated. Sorry, but otherwise, Bitter Fury is great and it's delightful to use. I know. Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful to use, not to be on the receiving end of. And I think any worthy opponent playing you will be very, very wary of it. Very well, because they know full well at some point they're going to get an absolute volley coming back at them. But I normally, honestly, I don't normally go beyond turn 1 or 2 before I've used it. Because that's when your squads are fully numbered. And what you don't want is, say, your last cannon squad or your Tyrant Siege Terminators being chipped away. And when you finally go, Bit of Fury, you've got 4 models left. You need to do it early doors when everyone's around. So yeah, that's the advanced reaction. It's a great one and I love it.
Awesome. All right, great. Well, great stuff. Okay, so we'll talk about, if you don't mind, rights of war and also warlord traits. I'm going to ask you about those too, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course. We'll start with the warlord traits, I think, get them out of the way first.
Yep.
So you've got 3. They are all named after various tyrants. So, and unsurprisingly, all the additional reactions are, of course, shooting ones as well because of Iron Warriors. So the first one, in alphabetical order, I guess, is the Tyrant of the Apollocron. Tyrant of the Apollocron basically makes the Praetor fearless.
Okay, that's good. That's really good.
It is good.
Like
however,
Okay.
it comes with drawbacks. So even though he becomes fearless and the squad he is with therefore also becomes fearless, they must shoot at the nearest target and they must declare a charge if they're able to.
Right.
So it does allow them to be led around the battlefield by rhinos and flyers and javelins and all sorts of things like that. So yeah, whereas it sounds good on paper initially, having a fearless Praetor and therefore a fearless squad with him, it does make it a bit frustrating because he actually doesn't behave how you want. I've run this twice and twice only, and the only way I've found it really to work and make it effective is to have a Praetor obviously tooled up for assault and put him with some iron circle.
Sure.
And essentially, he will advance. Yes, they will shoot if they have to, because they have to shoot at something, and then they will assault. But if you've got a Praetor with a bunch of iron circle, the only thing they're out to do is assault anyway. So it's an option. I suppose you could do the same with Dominators as well. Place the iron circle with Dominators. So fearless Dominators would be quite a lovely thing. And we'll talk about Dominators in a while. So that's the Apollocron.
Good one.
Yeah, it's okay. The only, again, a little bit of confusion in the rules perhaps, but I'm not entirely sure, it might be me, is with the shooting, it says to be able to, or you have to shoot if you can. It has to be the nearest target, I believe, if you can. But it says it has to be a valid target. A valid target. Now, I assume that valid target might include something you can't possibly harm. Like if, for example, a Spartan parks in front of your Praetor who's got a bolter, is it a valid target? Probably so, yeah. So I've been playing it as such, and I assume it would be as such. So I interpret that, against me in that way. So if you've got, as I've had my iron circle walking on with my Praetor with the Apollocron, and something like, a Land Raider will drive towards them, then you're shooting all your heavy bolters on the tyrants, on the iron circle, sorry, into a tank you can't harm.
That's a bit silly, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. The fact that they have to, I don't know, maybe it represents absolute rage or,
it must be it.
A lack of strategy because he's fearless. He's lost his mind a little bit, maybe. I don't know. So as I say, I've tried Apollocron a couple of times. It hasn't been that effective for me, but it hasn't been terrible either. Just
a fearless unit.
Yeah, a fearless
pretty
unit.
Good.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty good.
The next tyrant in alphabetical order after Tyrant of the Apollocron is Tyrant of the Dodecathon. And this one's a callback to version 1, where basically you pick a piece of terrain and you wreck it. Now, it sounds terrible in principle, the idea of ruining a piece of terrain, but it's actually better than it first may seem. So I would advise other Warsmiths out there to give this a go. The reasons are multiple. First of all, you choose what piece of terrain to wreck after armies have been deployed. It's before scouts and infiltrators, so they do still get that benefit. But the next thing is it can be any piece of terrain on the battlefield at all, including deployment zones. And when you wreck it, not only do you take away all cover saves from it, you turn it into difficult and dangerous terrain too.
They've absolutely flattened it, haven't they?
Yeah, they've flattened it. It's still physically there, and it still blocks line of sight, so you don't just take it off. But it making it difficult and dangerous suddenly means that if your opponent started the game and they've got, say, a 15-man despoiler squad in a building, and it suddenly becomes difficult and dangerous, they're going to have real trouble moving through it without taking casualties. And then when you shoot at them, they got no cover either. So strategically, it can be used really well. I mean, if your opponent has set up a las cannon squad in a building at the back, and they'd be benefiting from a 5-ups, suddenly they get no cover save, and if they move for any reason, maybe they flee from failing a morale check, then killing themselves as they run as well.
And is that decided after people have deployed?
Yes. That's what I mean. That's the joy of it. That's the joy of it.
It's really good, isn't it?
Yeah. So whereas people might write it off because it's a single piece of terrain and it strips away the cover save, the fact that you let your enemy deploy and then you go, right, I'm going to ruin that piece of scenery there, which has a few squads in it or a heavy weapon squad or two, especially if they've castled up. It's actually deceptively good.
There's two ways of doing that. You either build your own little diorama bit of terrain, or have a claw hammer.
That's it. No.
Just smash it up.
That's it.
Here's not to do that.
Here's what I think of your terrain. Wallop.
Models.
Absolutely.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, no. So Dodecathon's not so bad. So I would recommend trying Dodecathon. It's not outwardly aggressive. It's not a blatant in-your-face benefit. It's maybe not
nice, really.
Yeah,
nice,
but it's thematic.
Yeah,
exactly. It's thematic, and it can have a nice little bonus thrown in there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the dangerous bit, I guess maybe they've just absolutely hammered it with munitions, just unexploded
shells.
Stuff in there. No, it's great.
Yeah,
cool.
And the third and final one, which is a favourite of mine because it is utter lunacy, is the Tyrant of the Lysatra, and this is the one where you get the extra shots with Gets Hot. Okay, so this one's an interesting one. So it's got a load of caveats, so you've got to try and bear with me as I try and remember them all because there's a lot going on here. So first of all, if you are firing rapid fire, assault or heavy weaponry, any of those three, okay, then you add 1 shot to that weapon. Okay?
Very good.
So, that's good in principle.
More lascannon shots.
Oh yeah. I mean, a squad of 10 lascannons will kick out 20 lascannon shots every turn. Yeah. So
don't shoot them.
Remember, the Praetor's got to be stood with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a bit of an odd one because this Praetor would have to stand with this metaphor of a lascannon squad. Also, these shots make all the firing Gets Hot.
Okay.
So suddenly, if you're firing 20 lascannon shots in this hypothetical situation, every one you're just killing yourself because you get an AP to wallop on yourself, which kills you. Kills your heavy support marine. Also, the downside, because there are multiple downsides to this, but it's the payoff basically. It's the payoff having those extra shots. Also, you can do no reactions with this squad at all, apart from Interceptor,
right,
or Return Fire, or Bitter Fury.
Okay.
And in addition, if you shoot this squad, it must do a Return Fire or a Bitter Fury if it can.
Yes.
So what it leads to is people basically shooting the squad with, say, a Rhino's pintle-mounted bolter, baiting you to have to shoot back at it, and then suddenly your reaction is done, you're a sitting target, and then they hit you with the good stuff.
So, on that, how many reactions do they get normally then, Iron Warriors?
So, just like any Legion, they'll have one in every phase, but the other 2 Tyrant Warlord traits give you shooting phase. This one doesn't give you a shooting phase one as well, but it's just, if you shoot this squad, their reaction they have to do is free. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the shooting phase, they only get 1 reaction, but if you poke the hornet's nest, then you get the second reaction out of them. So it's interesting. Now, it sounds great on paper, Tyrant of the Lysatra, but as I've mentioned, the fact that people can bait you into drawing out your shooting, and the fact that it gets hot can lead to a whole mess of trouble. But I have found the one way that works for me, which I'm sure a lot of opponents will lament. The best way I found to do it is quite simply to put your Praetor, your Warsmith, with Tyrant Siege Terminators. Because what you're then doing is you're kicking out 3 crack missiles as standard per Terminator. And their bolters also get a 3rd shot as well, or 2nd or 3rd depending on range. So every Terminator is suffering from Gets Hot. So you're shooting and hitting normally on 3s, and a 1 is an overheat, but then you're in Terminator armour, so it's a 2-up armour save. And of course, because it's not the strength of the weapon, it's just the AP of the weapon, he doesn't insta-kill himself.
Of course.
So in the event that you roll your 3 crack missiles at 48 inches range, you roll a 1, and then you roll a 1 again, you take a wound on a Terminator.
Too bad.
But it's not the end of the world.
No.
And the payoff for that is, with a squad of Tyrant Siege Terminators, you're kicking out anywhere between 15 to 30 crack missiles a turn.
Oh, that's horrible.
Along with either 20 to 30 rapid fire bolters as well. So the best way I found to use it is to have the Praetor with the Tyrant Siege Terminators, have them sat right back out of range where no one can shoot them easily to bait them, and just volley fire, 30 crack missiles a turn at something and annihilate it. And normally, because a lot of weapons range is 48, people know full well that if they shoot the unit, it's going to return fire at them.
Yep.
So people don't even want to shoot it with their good weaponry at 48 because they get a whole world of trouble going back at them.
Yep.
And then you end up with a Warsmith and the Tyrants wandering around, destroying units turn by turn. You know, remember shooting vehicles, your strength 9 with all your crack missiles. And no one basically wants to go near it.
And your bolters are strength 5 against vehicles as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can shoot rhinos in the front armour and blow up with enough shots. So yeah, Tyrant of the Light. Yeah, I know. So Tyrant of the Light Archer is funny. As I say, it's not without drawbacks. But having those extra crack missiles for me is the best way to play it.
Fair enough.
I think putting him with other heavy weaponry might be too much of a negative, either a waste of a Praetor or you'd kill yourself too quickly.
Yeah.
But having Tyrants in their Cataphracti plate, rolling on 2-ups against overheats is the way forward, and just it's a grotesque amount of rockets per turn.
Rockets, yes.
Yeah, absolutely,
That's great.
and that served me very well.
I'm sure.
So may I recommend trying Tyrant Lies Archer with Tyrant Siege Terminator?
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's those are 3 warlord traits.
Cool. And then Right of War.
Rights of War.
Yeah,
there are 2. Yeah, there are 2. So both of them are version 1s that have been upgraded to version 2.
Okay.
So well, Hammer of Olympia, and the Iron Fire.
Oh yes.
Okay. Now, the Iron Fire I'll do first because it's rarely seen at the moment.
Okay.
I've yet to see any Iron Warriors players using Iron Fire in version 2, and the reason for that is one of the big bonuses of it is that you get Arbiters as non-compulsory troops.
Right.
But they are £115 per tank. So unless you want to buy 4 tanks to make it worth your while, at the moment, no one's going to be running Iron Fire to make use of the Arbiters. I'm sure at some point GW will bring them out in plastic, and if you're watching this years in the future, it already is out. So enjoy the Iron Fire. But as of now, you don't get many Iron Fire lists around. And also the second one as well is that Iron Fire is all based around barrage weaponry. And as we know in version 2, a lot of barrage weaponry like Medusa and Basilisks, they've all been castrated. They're all now AP4. They might have rending on a 6. And they're 200 points a tank. So you don't see much barrage weaponry.
No.
So the fact that it's Arbiter based along with barrage weaponry, which isn't very good, means Iron Fire doesn't get featured very much at the moment. But never say never.
It's the same as quad launchers, isn't it? Things like that. Like they just become so bad. That's tough as 5. They were just not good.
Absolutely. So Iron Fire does have its benefits. I mean, the first thing is that your barrage weaponry scatters D6 rather than 2D6. So you're more than likely to hit your targets. So if you're shooting blind, so you can't see the target at all, you're looking at scattering D6 at the most.
That's all right.
So at most 6 inches. You know, if you get a hit or a 1 or a 2 or a 3, then you're not going too far. And so that's one thing. Second, and that's also if the target you're shooting at, is within 12 inches of an Iron Warriors unit.
Okay.
So again, that leads
close range.
Yeah, exactly. That feeds into the version 2 close range, because you want to basically walk your units or drive your vehicles, what have you, up to within 12 inches to then call in the bombardment and he scatters D6.
Wow.
The bonus to that is if it's an infantry unit within 12 inches, which called it in or was there or happens to be nearby, they then become stubborn.
Oh, that's good.
So that's a nice thing.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, that is a bonus. So there may well come a day, as I say, when Arbiters are cheaper and plastic, and then you might see some more Iron Fire lists, maybe with Graviton Bombards, dropping their dangerous terrain templates everywhere with horrible accuracy, and of course, Arbiter Bombards plonks a template down, makes it dangerous terrain, hurts a unit, they move again, hurts a unit again, and you've got all these stubborn troops nearby. So I can see it working.
It sounds good, in principle.
In principle, but not at £115 per throw per tank, but all in time. So that's Iron Fire in a nutshell. As I say, I've not seen it at all in version 2 yet.
Well, there we are, some challenges for Armour players.
Yeah.
Start his Iron Fire.
Make it work. Make it work. And I'm sure in time I will give it the spin too.
Do it.
The other one, I'd almost say the default one for Iron Warriors really is Hammer of Olympia. Now, as I mentioned earlier, in version 1, Hammer of Olympia was the 4th heavy support choice, which is now gone. Instead, Hammer of Olympia is much more about armour and your shrapnel bolters.
Right.
So here's what it does. First of all, if you've got tactical squads, and you more than likely have, they lose Fury of the Legion. It goes. You don't get any choice in the matter. Fury of the Legion has to go.
Okay.
So they lose that altogether.
Mhm.
They get replaced. It gets replaced with Fury of Olympia.
Mhm.
And Fury of Olympia basically means that they get an extra shot on their shrapnel bolters.
Oh, that's
So
good.
18 inches, 2 shots. Within 9 inches, 3 shots. Okay.
Okay.
So that's that. So it can be a bit of a curse, because if you wanted to take normal bolter marines, you lose Fury of the Legion on them, because you don't get a choice in the matter.
No.
But if you take your shrapnel bolters, which is what it's encouraging to do, suddenly you get an extra shot, 2 at
That's good,
18. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Because because you say it doesn't have an AP, but just weight of fire and it pins.
I'm not even finished yet, because
it
gets better. It gets better. Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing it does, so apart from Fury of Olympia, where you have to lose Fury of the Legion and take Fury of Olympia and get your extra shots, is they also, if they're firing pistols or bolters only, they reroll ones.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's where it kicks in. So if you've got like a 10 or 12 man squad with shrapnel bolters, you're kicking out a volley of fire, re-rolling ones. So suddenly it's weight of fire. So that's where the bolters do come into their own. But that's taking Hammer of Olympia and then paying for the bolters as well. But it can be good. So if you're shooting enemy infantry, you're going to cause wounds and you're going to force a killing test.
So that's the thing, isn't it? If people get closer, or you get close to them, you're going to be you putting dents in them. And more importantly, I think if even a wound rather than a casualty, you take a pin test.
Yeah.
So that's horrible, isn't it? If you get a unlucky wound and then you're pinned from that and you've not even lost anyone, that's galling.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hammer of Olympia has that, and the other rule as well is that a lot of armor, I don't think I can get these all, but I think it's Predators, it's Vindicators, it's Land Raider Proteuses, and there's 1 or 2 more. They all ignore crew shaken and crew stunned results.
Wow.
So
this is just from the one.
This is all from Hammer of Olympia.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good.
This is why I say it's the default, really.
It is very good.
And the only downside, which is not a downside at all, really, is you have to have a Warsmith or
Oh, what a
Perturabo.
shame.
Yeah. You have to have Perturabo himself or a Warsmith.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah. Now, as we'll mention later, Perturabo is an absolute god amongst men. So we'll go into him. But as I mentioned earlier, the Warsmith anyway is a very good choice.
Yeah.
So I would always recommend, if you don't mind losing Fury of the Legion on your bolters, and you're prepared to accept the whole cost and what have you of shrapnel bolters, take Hammer of Olympia, maybe take some tanks if you're feeling brave to ignore crew shaken, crew stunned, and then just take massed bolters or massed shrapnel bolters and just volley fire away.
Yeah.
And that's something I've done before. I've had 2 or 3 squads of 15 men, all with, I pay the price, but 2 or 3 squads of 15 men, maybe with an augury, well, definitely with an augury scanner to intercept, but they can kick out some serious hurt once they get within 18 range.
If you've got a tech marine, Cognisignum, then they're hitting on
2s, rerolling 1s. Yeah, this is true.
Don't do that. That's horrible.
Well, the points will rack up even more then all of a sudden. But
how many can you take a tactical squad? 15 or 20?
20.
So you have 20 and a tech marine. That is not pleasant.
So
that's shot by that lot.
No, absolutely. So at 18 inches,
oh my God.
18 inches, that's 40 shots. And remember, they can move with this. They don't have to stay still, because with Fury of the Legion, it's if you don't move. With Fury of Olympia, it's just default 1 shot extra all the time.
So if you're in 9.
Yeah, so they can walk 7 and then shoot 9 with 3 shots per man. So that's 60 shots. And I've done it. I've done that before, but not with a tech marine.
But with a tech marine,
I've certainly unleashed 60 shots.
Yeah.
And then you can also factor in, Bit of Fury, and then you just chuck out a grotesque amount of shots, kill yourself, and just annihilate whatever you're shooting.
Would be funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, as I say, when it comes to Iron Warriors, specific rights of war, Ironfire I haven't seen. Hammer Olympia seems to be a default, but I have found that probably half the time now I don't play with the right of war at all.
Fair enough.
Because of the whole Fury of the Legion affecting bolters. If I don't want to take shrapnel bolters, I want normal bolters and Fury. Because I do generally play quite tactical squad heavy. I like to have 2 or 3 squads, lots of men. And if you lost Fury of the Legion on all those squads, then it's a drawback. So
and Heart of Legion's good as well, isn't it?
Yeah. But and also I suppose with Hammer of Olympia, if you choose not to do the shrapnel bolter route, then Hammer of Olympia is largely useless, because it's re-rolling the ones, it's the extra shot. But if you don't go down that route at all you're getting from Hammer of Olympia is the tank, crew shake and crew stun ignoring
result.
result.
If you don't have any tanks, then
it's a moot point. Exactly that. So so I hope to see Ironfire soon at some point, and Hammer of Olympia is a good one, and I would use Hammer of Olympia most of the time, but I've also gone into just going no right of war as well sometimes. But it's decent. Decent ones overall. Yeah, happy with them.
Awesome. All right, great. So we'll move on to the next one, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So let's go after your sort of Legion specific units.
Sure.
So what do we have?
Right, they're all over the place now, aren't they? You've got three separate documents at least to consult the Legion specific units. The Iron Warriors are quite thin on the ground when it comes to the books. They have 2 units.
2 units.
Two units.
Okay, fair enough.
So in the Hereticus book, they only have 2 units for Legion specific units. That's the Iron Circle and the Tyrant Siege Terminators. Iron Circle, 150 points for one, 135 after that for the second, third, fourth.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
They're okay. They've got their good sides. They've got their downsides.
It's a bit funny, isn't it? It's as if Perturabo needs protection.
Yeah.
But there we go.
Yeah, and also I'd also argue that Dominators are actually a superior choice to the Iron Circle anyway, at least in the rules, but maybe not in Temperance. But yeah, so the Iron Circle, the good things to them is they are huge whopping robots.
They look cool.
They've got their big clunky shields. If you charge them with their shields, they always make you disordered, so that's nice. Takes away all those extra attacks and any bonuses for charging if you charge them.
That's good.
If they're in base contact with each other, they get a 4-up invulnerable save.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. And of course they're armed with those graviton crusher hammers I mentioned earlier. So when they're bonking you, it's brutal 2 haywire with everything else thrown in there as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's the good side to the Iron Circle, and of course you'll normally have your Warsmith with
How
them.
tough are they?
Sorry?
Toughness?
7.
Oh, bloody hell. They got
5 wounds.
Oh!
Yeah, well, that's the good side to it, yeah, because there are downsides to them.
But can they be instantly killed?
No, they do the D3 wounds thing.
D3 wounds,
yeah, they do
right.
the D3 wounds thing. So that's the good side to them, is that they pack the graviton hammers, the nasty ones, and they've got the 4-up invulnerable. The downsides to them is, first of all, they're only weapon skill 4.
Oh.
Yeah, so even if they're clonking Marines, it's 4s. They don't have a high number of attacks either. I think it's either 2 or 3 base.
Okay, fair enough.
So they're durable, which is for a bodyguard unit, they are certainly fairly durable, but they don't kick out a massive amount of aggression. If they go up against Contemptors, for example, I mean, it's a gamble putting your Contemptors against them because of the haywire, but it's 5s to hit.
Yeah,
so that's an issue. And also the other kicker for their durability is that they're only a 3-up armor save, not a 2-up. And so what you'll find is an autocannon squad or a heavy bolter squad will unleash into them, and suddenly you're doing power armor equivalent armor saves, and then these robots are falling over. So they can get shot up fairly quickly. And also, when you're down to your last Iron Circle, you don't get the 4-up invulnerable save anymore because there's not 2 of them touching each other. And for that reason, when I run Iron Circle, I will always run 3 at least, because if you take 2, your opponent will quickly shoot down 1, and then the remaining 1 is suddenly much weaker. So take 3, make it a tough old target unit. So the Iron Circle are fun.
Do they shoot?
They've got gravis cannon, shrapnel cannon up on their shoulders.
So 2 shots at 24?
No, these are, I think they're 5 shots.
Oh, okay.
It's 4 or 5 shots, but it's ballistic skill 3.
Oh, right.
So it's a pinning heavy bolters basically, but at 24 inches. But they're ballistic skill 3, so they're all over the place when they're shooting. And also, of course, don't forget they are robots, and they have all the downsides that robots have as well, like automated programming. So as long as you've got your Warsmith
controller, need them.
As long as you've got your Warsmith with them with the Cortex controller, that's great. But yeah, watch out for that. And they have lost a rule, because in version 1, they could always soak up firepower in place of the person they were protecting.
Right.
They've lost that rule now.
Oh.
So you can still put precision shots onto the Praetor and then leave a bunch of confused robots bumbling around.
So Recon Marines are great to shoot Praetors.
Exactly, and leave the Iron Circle looking very sad and confused.
Charging the closest thing, shooting the closest thing with program behaviour,
That's it. So they're flavourful and they're enjoyable. They're definitely not overpowered. You won't see them very often, but they still pose a threat. So that's that. The second Hereticus Iron Warrior unit, Legion specific, is the Tyrant Siege Terminators.
Yes.
Absolute
we
brutes.
don't like them.
Absolute brutes. We gotta love them. I'm absolutely not bitter at all that the full Mentaris Terminators, the Ultramarines, have come along and outdone them in practically every way and form. Not bitter at all. How dare they take our things and improve them?
They don't have power. What do they have? They have power swords, don't they, for Mentaris?
Yeah, they're power swords.
So
it's all about It's like the shooting, isn't it, with Iron Warriors? They're brutal 2 strength 8 plasma missiles, which don't need line of sight when they stand still. All that stuff and more. But anyway, not better. The Tyrant Siege Terminators, they shoot in 3 ways. They have the good old crack missiles, 2 shots, strength 8, maybe 3. They have the frag missiles, which aren't template, so that's really good because
Oh,
it gets around certain issues.
Yeah.
It's just 4 shots, strength 4 pinning. So you can actually
and more pinning. So
you can actually pepper a unit with lower strength shots with pinning. However, most of the time, as I said, with Tyrant Lysatra or Bit of Fury, or whatever, you'll normally go for a huge volley of crack missiles. And the third one are the Skyfire missiles.
Yeah.
So they've got anti-air, which is brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
And that feeds into something else as well, which I'll mention in a moment. But yeah, your Tyrants have something for everybody.
Okay.
They have the frag, they have the crack, or they have the Skyfire. So most of whatever your opponent throws your way, they've got something to deal with.
Nice.
Admittedly, against Contemptors, they still get a 2-up armor save. But
that's good.
You just put 30 crack missiles into them and watch them all as ones, you know?
Well, yeah, 1 in every 6. So
that's it.
You know, just wait to fire. You're going to get through, aren't you? You know,
absolutely.
We've all done it before.
Yeah.
So 4 1s in a row.
Absolutely. And what couples so well with the Tyrant Siege Terminators is they have on their Siege Master, which is their champion, their character, they've got the Omniscope. And the Omniscope is only on him. Now watch out for this because, of course, if you lose your Siege Master, you lose the Omniscope. It's not on the whole squad, it's on one guy.
Sure.
So if he gets a sniper round through the head a couple of times, then you lose the benefits of this.
An Omniscope?
Well, an Omniscope, this is what it does. First of all, you ignore all effects of night fighting. Okay, so you can, as an Iron Warrior, you can say, right, I want night fighting, and in turn 1, do your 48-inch crack missiles across the board, ignoring every effect. And the second thing with the Omniscope is it gives you a free interceptor reaction.
For free?
Yeah,
for
free.
So you don't need an augury scanner?
No, you don't need an augury scanner. But as I say, the downside to the Omniscope is it's only on the Siege Master, so you've got to look after that chap. Don't take him off, as I've done before, don't take him off as a casualty by accident. Just, I'll pick up this model and take him off, and then go, oh, I've made an awful mistake here. There goes the Omniscope.
So he's not the sergeant?
He is the sergeant.
Oh, he is the sergeant.
He is the sergeant. He's the only sergeant, he's the one kind of character in the unit.
So shoot him.
Exactly, yeah, shoot it, absolutely. If it's early doors in the game,
and covering, target that guy.
Absolutely, yeah. So the Omniscope works really well because, for example, if an enemy brings on anything from reserve, deep striking, outflanking, then Omniscope kicks in, eat crack missiles. If a flyer comes in, which we don't see very many of at the moment, if a flyer comes in, intercept for free with Skyfire missiles.
Wow.
And so they can really.
Strength 8, a Skyfire?
7.
7.
Yeah, so it's two shots each.
Oh,
yeah, you know, a squad of 10 will kick out 14 Skyfire missiles. Put Tyrant Lysatra in there, so it's 21 or what have you. So yeah, the Tyrants are great. Their rocket launcher is a fantastic weapon. Don't ever forget the bolters as well. You know, some people would argue that the Tyrant Siege Terminators should never be within bolter range or never be within power fist range. But believe me, at a pinch, it can be done.
I think you need them hitting people with those fists, don't you?
Maybe not.
Weapon skill 4?
Yeah, weapon skill 4 only. They're only weapon skill 4. They've got 2 attacks each. The Siege Master's got 3.
It's a power fist.
Yeah. That's it. So I would rather have them at safe range. As I mentioned earlier, I always like to keep my Tyrants at a lovely long range where they shoot things for no return. You know, once you start losing Tyrants, it reduces effectiveness. But I like to just keep them far away. But you know, sometimes you get no choice. Like if say Custodes deep strike right in front of you.
Come on.
Then I mean, you might end up having to use those power fists that you
this
rather
is it,
not.
isn't it? It's like, because deep strike assault is so prevalent in this game, and you can find yourself within, you know, just an inch or more, aren't you, essentially on turn 2.
Absolutely.
From a whole nasty unit, which I don't know who does that. But talk about that another time. But yeah, so and that is deep strike assault, isn't it? Essentially, dive down, conga line your assault unit right in front of gun lines. Take it on the chin, and then you're in, aren't you?
That's it. So you don't want to be using those power fists.
But you do have them for defence, so they are good. They're still really good, aren't they?
And if it comes to a pinch where the enemy is in your lines, then why not hit them with the rocket launchers, the bolters, then run in and punch them as well? Because you're relentless. You know, I've done it before, and certain targets, you know, they're not going to shine in combat, but that volley of power fists, you know, it can do a job.
And even against those deep strike units, you've got your intercept. Then you've got Overwatch. And then you hit them with power fist as well. So I mean, you know, it's not like you're going to fold, is it?
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
Go, aren't you?
Oh, I mean, and again, chuck the Tyrant Lysatra in there. Someone deep strikes down. They'll get 30 crack missiles at them, and then they'll assault you. Then they get another 30 crack missiles, and it's, you know, it's a world of trouble. It really is. Yeah. So those are the only 2 books.
Yep.
So 2 in the books.
Yep.
Then we move on to legacies.
Yep.
And it does make me very, very sad, very, very sad indeed, that somehow, I don't know who made the decision, somehow Iron Havocs have been demoted from a core book to the legacies. It's like, for me, the Iron Havocs are like one of the Horus Heresy standout iconic units, right? They're up there with Fire Drakes and other Legion specific, like the Iron Havocs, they're the trademark, benchmark kind of specialist unit of the Iron Warriors. No. Legacies.
Well, they're here. They are still here.
Well, on a black and white printed PDF,
God,
which, so Iron Havocs, they're a mixed bunch these days. They used to be phenomenal. I would put my hand up and say they're too good in version 1.
Yeah.
Ballistic Skill 5 ignores cover, I believe, in version 1. They would ruin things. Iron Havocs in version 2 have Ballistic Skill 5 still, which is great.
That is good.
They've lost their ability to remove cover, so you get cover saves as normal. But they cost a lot now. Now the problem is that a 10-man las cannon squad is 285, I think. A 10-man las cannon squad of Iron Havocs is 385 points. It's 100 points more. 100 points more.
You get extra BS though.
They get one extra BS, and they get something else as well. But the problem is, for that 100 points more, they still die exactly the same.
And you could get a Tech Marine for 55.
Yeah.
We'll come to Signum, which is an extra BS.
And that's all the night flight benefits as well.
Night vision.
Yeah. So so the points cost is horrendous. The reason for that is that with Iron Havocs, a las cannon isn't 10 points per model, it's 15.
Okay.
And each Iron Havoc is 20 points rather than so the points add up on them. For that reason, I often don't take Iron Havocs with las cannons, but I go down the autocannon route. But I'll get to that in a second. The second thing with Iron Havocs, apart from BS5, is they have the Ferrum Ocularis, and this is a squad-wide thing. So unlike the Omniscope, which is just on the Siege Master, the Ferrum Ocularis is on the whole squad, and it basically means if they're shooting normally, so not a reaction, not a snapshot, they're shooting normally, they get precision shot 6+.
That's good.
It can be, yeah. So in the hypothetical las cannon situation, suddenly you can put precision shots on certain individuals in a unit. Yeah, sergeants, apothecaries, praetors, with on a 6+. So
and you're going to get a few, aren't you?
Yeah, you're going to get a few.
Roll of dice, aren't
you? Absolutely. So that's a good thing. So those are the 2 things for Iron Havocs: is the BS5 and the Ferrum Ocularis benefit. Remember, it's not reactions. It's not snap firing. Downside is the cost in points. The downside is they die just as easily as their basic brothers. So I find the best way to run them, which I'm sure a lot of Iron Havoc fellow players will do as well, is the autocannon variant. Because the autocannon variant is relatively cheap. They cost about the same as a heavy support squad of the same kind.
Okay.
And then they've got 20 shots, BS5, rending 6+ with precision shot.
That's the thing, isn't it?
And that's the thing.
That's the thing, because if you get 3 hits on precision with all those shots, well, that is a character dead, isn't it? Well, they're on their save, they're on their invulnerable save, but if they fail, they're just dead.
And you've got rending 6+ following it up as well.
Wow,
So I found the best way to use Iron Havocs from the good old legacies.
Very scary actually when you think about it.
And also they're strength 7, but again against all the vehicles and armor and dreadnoughts, it's strength 8. So they can do a number on predator equivalents. You know, rhinos they'll chew through in a blink of an eye. Predator squadrons they'll mash up. You know, they just sheer volume of fire. And I think my best ever, and admittedly it was a bit of a dicey fluke, my best ever is killing a Contemptor in a single volley. That's just 10 guys, you know, it's a few 6s for rending, and it's rolled 1s from the volume of armor saves because it's 3s to wound. I've killed a Contemptor in a single volley, so 10 Iron Havocs with autocannon I think is the way forward. They're restricted, they can take Volkite Corvarins, they can take heavy bolters. But I think the autocannon route is the way forward.
People are so scared of dreadnoughts, but they do die.
They do. There are ways around them. So it's a bit of a shame that Iron Havocs aren't in the core rules. I don't know why they would remove it. Well, I know why.
I mean, they're in the game. So.
The reason I'm pretty sure when I say this, the reason they removed them is because there wasn't a model range for them.
Fair enough.
I think the general version 2 split was if there's a model representing it, it goes into the main rulebook. If there wasn't a model representing it, it went off into legacies instead. So moving on from the Iron Havocs, you know, bless them. This is a quick one. We can skip over this. Really, is Perturbo's personal vehicle, the Tormentor.
Okay.
It's a shadow sword. It's got a few bonuses. It's 900 points, and it dies like anything.
Just a shadow sword.
Just a shadow sword. With a few
shadow sword.
It's 900 points, and the most ridiculous thing about this, and again, I think it's a not thought through thing, is it has to be taken as a dedicated transport for Perturabo. So you've got the Primarch himself,
And then
a 900-point transport.
So when can you play that?
So when can you play that? Because you would need to be playing like a 20,000-point game or something to take Perturabo and this together, because of 25% allowance.
Is he 4 something?
Yeah, he's up in the 400.
So
you always got to take the hammer with him.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 12 to 1,300 points. So you need to multiply that by 4. So you're looking at like at least a 6,000 to 7,000 point
Which
game.
is not. No event's going to run those sort of.
No. I mean, admittedly, you and a bunch of friends might play a big battle, but then you're paying 900 points for a lackluster Shadow Sword, which, as we know, super heavies have taken a bit of a kicking. Template weaponry's taken a kicking. It kicks out a volcano cannon shot, but for 900 points, you're taking it for the fluff and knocks its apps in.
So it's got a destroyer shot, 1 template, probably.
Yeah, that's it. So it's 900 points of you can't take it, and it's 900 points of why would you take it. But the only reason really would be to be fluffy and to be enjoying your game.
But it'd have to be a large game.
Yeah, large game, and you'd have to be ready to be disappointed when your 900 point tank doesn't kill anywhere near 900 points and dies embarrassingly from something else.
Shame.
So, as I said, a good 10-man las cannon volley will probably take it off the board in a turn anyway. So the Tormentor we can skip over a little bit. And then also in Legacies, you've got a few characters. You've got Erasmus Golg, who's just these days he's lost his personality. He used to have the Terminator Assault rule, where you could take Terminator squads as troops choices, and so you'd have Golg leading a very heavy Terminator force, which was great. That's gone. So now he's just a Praetor and Cataphractii armor with a Combi Melter and a Strength 10 Chain Fist, and that's it. That's it. That's Golg.
Moving on.
Yeah, exactly.
So
again, Golg, 175 points. He's okay.
Cool name though.
Yeah.
Cool name. Erasmus Golg, isn't it?
Erasmus Golg,
cool name.
That's it. Cool name.
Cool name.
Yeah, but unfortunately, your basic Praetor build will probably be better than him. It can definitely be more customizable than Golg because he has no options. Obviously, he's a special character. And for 175 points, he's not great. And also, he has to take the bloody-handed Warlord trait, which causes fear, I believe. So it means you can't access the other Iron Warriors Warlord traits because you've got to take bloody-handed on a Praetor who's just got a Chain Fist and Strength 10.
Oh no, I always think that's funny, just to go on to your point. Like, when have special characters like just not customizable, like, don't really get it. Like, just, does it matter if they take different things, or if they decide to take their Cataphractii plate, or when do they take jump packs? Because obviously when you read the novels and stuff, they're all jumping around jump packs, or they'll change their plate armor, or they'll do things. And they just keep their same combi weapon the whole time, do they?
Anyway. It's a shame in a sense. I guess they pick one point in the law and say, right, we're going to represent them at this certain point.
On that day.
So there's there's no customization, but sometimes no customization means you end up with a rather poor character.
This is it.
And the other two in Legacies, which I completely discount because they're loyalists, so they have no business here.
My favourite one, Kins of a K.
So you got Keir Valen and Narek Draeger. Narek Draeger is just a Praevian with a few little twists on him. He's not great.
Not great.
And Keir Valen, annoyingly, is very good.
He's annoying. Where's Keir Valen? I think he was in I can't remember where he was in the law now. It was a couple of books back. He was on some sort of planet, wasn't he? Some sort of portal was defending that. I can't remember what it was now, what book it was, but great stories about him. And
he's So it's galling. In version 1, he was excellent, but loyalist only, so I never touched the man. In version 2, I also go nowhere near him because also he's loyalist. He's good. He's got high weapon skill. He's got a nasty blade on him. He's got good warlord trait. As well, where he makes squads relentless, like heavy weapon squads relentless.
Joe took him in the last Brighton Heresy, didn't he?
Did he?
I think so.
Well, not the one the weekend just gone.
Did he not?
I wasn't facing Keir Valen then. No.
Okay, maybe he didn't.
So Keir Valen is annoyingly, if you're filthy loyalists.
Come on, the loyalists.
If you're loyalist, Keir Valen's a good one. But as I say, I can't really talk with any authority on Keir Valen or Narek Draeger because I never use them because they're loyalists. So and unfortunately, again with Iron Warriors, it's a shame because in the Hereticus book there are no named characters at all. You've got Golg for the traitors in Legacies, 2 loyalists in Legacies, but there's only 2.
I think you're probably right about the whole reasoning. They don't have any morals, so we're not going to do it.
Absolutely,
which I think is silly.
It just means in the
Hereticus
book,
customise them. Like, what's the big deal with like having a Terminator and just fiddling around and adding some things and doesn't matter. But
Anyway, it's a shame. But the last unit we're going to mention for Iron Warriors 3 units, and without doubt, the best.
I thought you forgot about
No,
that.
no. Heaven forbid. No. I've gone through the book, I've gone through the legacies, and
Here it comes.
The exemplary battles
There we
unit. I know some people overlooked them. I was a bit guilty myself when they first came out, overlooking them, but my goodness me, come version 2, they have shone, and that's the Dominators, a Dominator cohort. So these guys are absolute bruisers. They are Weapon Skill 5 Cataphractii Terminators.
Nasty.
They are stubborn at Leadership 9.
That's good.
Yeah.
Individual guys, Leadership 9?
All of them.
Wow, that is so good.
There's no sergeant in there. There's no sergeant to pick out.
It's so good. So basically veterans, aren't they? Like,
yeah, veterans. So stubborn at Leadership 9, Cataphractii. They all come with Thunder Hammers as standard. You don't have to pay for it.
Very good.
They've all got Chosen Warrior, which
extremely good, by
is,
the way.
Yeah, my gosh, I'll go into that in a moment.
Extremely good.
And also the best thing as well is they're cheap. They not only are they Cataphractii Terminators, Leadership 9, stubborn with Thunder Hammers, they're only 225 points for 5. And
that is very good.
And then 40 points a model after that.
That is very good.
Yeah, so
with a Thunder Hammer as well.
Yeah, for Thunder Hammer. So insane. Round about 400 and something points will get you 10.
That's too good.
Yeah, no, it is. And this is, I'll put my hands up. I'll put my hands up and say, Dominators are an absolute joy.
That is insane. And with their combi bolters, can they customise them at all?
You can take. I think you can take some options. I never do because points rack up.
Yep.
But I do.
Yeah, so expensive, aren't they?
Yeah, fair point. But I do take 2 Reaper autocannon in there.
Sure.
Because and that feeds into this point really, is that you can take 5 Dominators and take a Proteus Land Raider to drive them around in.
Nice.
But for the points cost of a Land Raider Proteus, you can afford 5 more Dominators.
Fair enough.
So so rather than taking 5 Dominators in a Proteus, granted you get the protection, you get the las cannon, I just take 10 instead on foot and plod them around, because 10's a big blob, 10 takes a lot of damage, and anyone will be afraid of 10 Thunder Hammer Weapon Skill 5 Terminators with stubborn and the Chosen Warrior. So I forego the Land Raider option, the transport, in favour of a slower grind with just twice as many.
Sure.
And they're just a great unit. They have killed so many Primarchs in their time.
It's the hammers, isn't it? It's the brutal too.
It's not exactly. It's the hammers combined with a Chosen Warrior.
Yeah.
A Primarch gets stuck into them.
Talk about this now. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. A Primarch gets stuck into them. One Chosen Warrior goes, fight me, gets pulped, and the other 9 tonk him with the hammers. If there's anyone left, stubborn Leadership 9. Yeah. Anyone left next time, someone else steps up and goes, right, I'm next. Yeah. Then the other 8 guys tonk him with hammers.
I think Chosen Warriors is probably quite broken in when you have such a big unit of because and you say like Primarchs, like it's great fun with Primarchs when they go bang 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 and they kill whoever they like. Because really they should be able to.
Yeah.
Because they're a Primarch. Yeah. But then when you have Chosen Warrior units, as John really quite rightly points out, you just go challenge and they can't say no unless they're in a unit.
Yeah. And
then you can go, right, quickly, Sergeant, quickly run and challenge that thing that's gonna kill you. But then eventually the Chosen Warriors will probably kill your sandbags, your sergeant or your other characters. And then if there's 7 or 6 left, that's 7 or 6 turns of you just not killing, pulping one, and they're hammering you with brutal 2. So it's so dangerous. You've got to really shoot them. I think is the best thing really, because they don't have great shooting back.
That's it.
You have to hit them with las cannons to get rid of them.
And so I mean, my Dominators, they've killed Sanguinius. They've killed
Pete Sanguinius, probably, right?
Sorry?
Pete Sanguinius.
Sorry, Pete. Other people Sanguinii. Other people Sanguinii as well. They've killed Corvus Corax. They've killed Rebute Gulliman. They've killed Valdor without even breaking a sweat. Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. I know he's not a proper Primarch, but he's got the Primarch rule. But yeah, Dominators have absolutely squished so many things in their time. They can even go toe to toe with anyone else's Weapon Skill 5 Terminators and probably come out okay.
You've got to, if you're fighting Dominators, you have to hit them with heavy weapons first, and then if you go in combat with them, you've got to have people with Chosen Warriors really to sort of soak that up.
Yeah.
Or characters that can hold their own, but there's not many, is there? When you've got an instant death, because that's what it is, isn't it? Essentially, like a hammer will instant kill most characters.
Yeah.
Most of your basic
Toughness
characters,
4 characters, yeah.
most people don't have a free up and vulnerable save unless they're card rakes.
And then also, I often will run them with Perturabo separate, and that means that if you get a las cannon shot that goes into a unit, take it on Perturabo. And then that way, the Dominators all survive, as Perturabo tanks the heavy hits. If it's small arms fire, take it on the Dominators. If it's big arms fire, take it on Perturabo. They survive, and of course, again, not many people can stand up to Perturabo and Dominators. As I like to mentally picture it, he will just grab a Dominator by the scruff, lob him at the enemy Primarch, and while the Primarch's hitting that Dominator, out comes a out comes a Forward Breaker and clonk, you're dead.
Yeah, so, I think the only way getting around that, and this is a good idea, if you are having that sort of situation, is try and screen out the Primarch so you can't see him with the weapons you're choosing to fire at said unit, whichever one it is. Because I do exactly the same with Vulcan. He is got 3 up save. He's going to bounce so many. I'll take 10 las cannons on my unit. They probably won't all hit, even if they do. They probably won't all wound, even if they do. You just do five. See how many you save. Then I can take probably 3-4 wounds on Vulcan and be like, all right, fine, bit rubbish, but fine.
Yeah.
And then none of my guys are going to get hit or die. But the only way of getting around that is if you screen out the Primarchs you can't see, and then they have to take it on the ones you can see. Yeah. And that's the way of getting around that. But other than that, as you say, so that's another shame, really. Tanking, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a whole separate thing, but So Dominators, absolutely fantastic. They've got an extra rule or 2 as well. They were once obviously Perturabo's honoured bodyguard. Then they were shunned. At the Battle of File, they let themselves down awfully.
Well, they did, didn't they?
And they got replaced by big roboty guys instead.
Yeah.
So
much better than them.
They've got a rule that goes one of 2 ways. If they're Perturabo's personal retinue, they get Feel No Pain 6+.
That's good.
Well, it's not. Okay. I'll tell you why in a moment.
Okay.
And if they're not Perturabo's retinue, they get Hatred of Automata because they're so annoyed at the Iron Circle who replaced them.
They are annoyed.
Yeah. So they basically most of the time they have Hatred of Automata, which is not bad when you're facing Mechanicum.
Yeah, Mechanicum.
The reason I say the 6+ Feel No Pain is awful is because it's the same problem as the Tormentor. You have to take them as the retinue for Perturabo, so they count towards his points value. So if you're going to take a big squad of Dominators, you've got to add that to Perturabo's value and not go over 25%.
Yeah, so you might have to end up not having 10.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, exactly that. So that's the problem. And in fact, the Iron Circle have a similar issue as well, where the Iron Circle, when taken as a retinue for Perturabo, get 5+ Feel No Pain, but again, the points value is so high, you're probably never going to have Iron Circle with Perturabo. And it's strange that they've made the same kind of issue on the Dominators, the Iron Circle, and the Tormentor. All 3, you have to specifically take it with Perturabo.
It seems like an oversight.
I think it is.
I think it is. That.
Yeah. It would be great if they had that rule and you just join Perturabo with the squad at the start of the game. It's like if Perturabo joins the squad, they are this. If they're not, they get that. But for all 3, the Iron Circle, the Tormentor, and the Dominators, you have to have Perturabo there with the retinue, including the points value. So it's, I don't know, maybe an oversight, maybe not.
I guess I like maybe if they're thinking, look, we love it in big games, but the reality is, like as fun as big games sound and maybe are, they're just who's got the time? To do a 10,000 point game aside with four people, 40,000 points. Like it's a day or 2 thing. And then you forget everything, and then it ends up in a draw.
That's it. Time out, you'll go home tired. So that's it for the special units. Some great, not so great, but some of them really shine through, and all very characterful. And again, as I mentioned at the start of the video, how Iron Warriors have been changed slightly in version 2 to close the range, with things like the Dominators being a new unit in version 2. Well, they came at the end of version 1. That's an aggressive assault unit. So suddenly they are again encouraging you to go forward because you don't stand the Dominator and fire. It's not another Iron Warriors heavy support option. It's an elite option that instead goes forwards and fights aggressively. So again, it changes that play style a little bit.
It's good. Yeah, it is good. All right, so we'll move on. If you've done that, right. We'll go on to Primarch. How about the Primarch?
Yes.
Here he is.
There he is. Perturabo. Absolute monstrosity. First of all, again, there's the model, beautifully painted by Tom Coles Rogers.
We'll zoom in a bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's bulwark painting on Instagram, and unbelievably, this was a Christmas present one year. So the model and the paint job as well. Well, wonderful fellow. And I'm sure Tom rues the day now that he gave them to me, because Tom's been on the receiving end of them too many times to mention,
I bet.
as a lot of people have. But yeah, the Lord of Iron himself is, as Primarchs go, he's definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah.
The Primarchs in version 2 have got some lovely rules.
They're so good, aren't they?
They're monsters, aren't they?
Yeah, they are so good.
And Perturabo is no exception. The first thing really, his warlord trait, the Sire of the Iron Warriors, nice and simple. Essentially, when it comes to morale checks and pinning, all your squads on the board roll 3 dice rather than 2.
So good.
And take away the highest.
So good.
Yeah. So your chances of being pinned or your chances of failing a leadership test really drop down.
It's a great legion, isn't it, with him in as well? Wow.
And so that's the only benefit he brings to them army-wide, but
Army-wide,
it's a great one. It's really good. 3 dice, discard the
Yeah.
highest. So you're very unlikely to be pinned or running underneath his watchful eye.
You know what to do.
No,
You know what's coming.
decimation for those who do run or get pinned. So
Absolutely.
so that's that. He's got a really good stat line, mainly 7s across the board. Strength 6, 6 attacks, which is a vast improvement because he used to have 4. So he's got a really good stat line. His armor, the Logos, is incredible. It gives him a 2-up armor save, 3-up invulnerable.
Yeah.
And that's, not many Primarchs have the 3-up.
No. Vulcan does.
Vulcan does, but there's not many others who have the 3-up, which which goes back to what we were saying with Dominators and tanking those last cannon shots and those melter gun shots and everything like that.
He can take it.
He can take a good few solid shots before you start maybe going to the retinue instead.
Yeah.
So that's that. In addition, the Logos, apart from the armor save, much like a Tyrant Siege Terminator, gives him a free interceptor as well. And that's it. He gets the interceptor reaction for free, which doesn't get used. So and he ignores Night Fight. That's the other one. He ignores Night Fight as well.
That's great.
So you can join into a squad.
They all ignore Night Fight as well.
Ignore Night Fight, and they get free interceptor. So yeah, he's very durable and very tanky. You can pay to upgrade his Logos fists to have the hammer.
Yeah.
So the hammer Forge Breaker Desecrated.
Stolen, wasn't it really?
Well, improved. I wouldn't say improved. It's blooming worse. That's the problem. Yeah, all right, stolen. Taken from the headless corpse.
Oh no.
Yeah, there you go. The headless corpse of Ferrus Manus. So you have to pay more to upgrade Perturabo to have Forge Breaker Desecrated. And it does hurt me that even though he improved it, he actually made it worse. For a start, in Ferrus Manus' hands, it's Brutal 3. In Perturabo's, it's Brutal 2. And also, Ferrus Manus could swing it at initiative, or does swing it at initiative, and Perturabo is unwieldy with it.
He added foam to it to make it heavier. I don't know how.
Little squeaky mallows there. Perturabo in Assault, he does one of 2 things. You can either punch at initiative using the Logos, using his bare fists. So that's Strength 7, that's AP 2. Or you can use the hammer, which is still absolutely thuggish. You're looking at 6 attacks, weapon skill 7. It's Strength 12. So factor in Iron Warriors. If you're hitting tanks, it's then Strength 13.
Oh my God.
I know.
It's horrendous.
Exactly. Brutal 2, AP 1 for the added damage on tanks as well.
God.
It's got Exo Shock 3 plus.
Yeah.
So the extra damage when you do bonk a tank, and you will bonk a tank. And for the infantry, it's Brutal 2.
Yeah.
So if you know full well that he's going to survive whatever's coming his way, you just don't use the fists. You wait to use Forge Breaker. Then you give out 6 attacks, probably hitting on 3s, chucking Mastercrafted for a 1 reroll, Strength 12 wounding on 2s, and then it's Brutal 2 across the board at AP 1.
Yeah.
So he can give out some real grief. He's very durable. And finally, with Perturabo, he's got his wrist cannon, which aren't to be overlooked because they're 30 inches.
That's good.
Strength 6, AP 3,
Again.
with Twin Linked and Shred. So BS 6, he's basically hitting on 2s with rerolls. And against Power Armor Marines, he's wounding on 2s with rerolls, and then it's Shred with Shell Shock 1 pinning.
Cool.
Yeah, so
equally, he's a Primarch, so he can hit again.
Yes, and he does, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so and 30 inches isn't to be sniffed at, you know.
Because he's got movement as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can walk him forward with the Dominators or what have you. He opens up that wrist cannon. You're going to kill 4 or 5 Marines reliably, and as you say, pick out the Vexer, pick out the Sergeant if he's not an Artificer armor, take out the Augury Scanner, all sorts of things like that. So he's an absolute brute of range. Not many Primarchs can claim to be good effectively at 30 inches away.
No.
But he's got that added bonus.
Yeah.
It catches people
I
out.
think he's one of the only ones, probably, if not the only one, with that ability to shoot that far.
Yeah, I know that. Dawn, curse him. Dawn's got his bolter, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Which is I think probably 24
Yeah.
or something. But yeah, Perturabo's 30-inch range with the Lobos wrist cannon is fantastic.
Yeah, it's very good.
So all in all, I've used Perturabo many times. He's always reliable. He's never had an embarrassing death, thankfully.
Is he not?
No, I don't think.
Are you sure?
What? You referring to something specific or not?
Yes.
What?
Well, I ran a little while ago.
Go on.
A test duel, remember?
Oh yeah, in your hands maybe. you can do all the test duels you want, my friend.
I've got to explain this.
No, go on then.
So I ran like a test duel a few years ago. I just had Primarchs and borrowed people's Primarchs and had one-on-ones, didn't I?
Yeah, that's right.
Seeing who's the best Primarch thing.
It's during the lockdowns, wasn't it?
That's it, yeah.
That's
Don't
right.
talk about that, but
Yeah.
yes. And then Perturabo got killed too, do you remember?
Was it Alferis?
Alferis killed him.
Absolutely.
Because I was rolling for both, and I think I rolled treble ones or something like that. And he killed him.
Yeah, absolutely shocking. Yeah, that should not statistically happen.
I know, it was
Complete
funny.
anomaly.
It was funny.
Well, let me refine my sentence then. In my hands, he's never had an embarrassing death,
There you are.
and he's taken a lot of scalps in his time.
Who's he killed Primarch wise in your hands?
Everyone he's
Everyone?
faced. Yeah,
Who's he taken? Which souls has he taken? Sanguinius?
Definitely
Probably.
Sanguinius, yeah, taken Sanguinius, taken Gulliman. He's even taken Dawn, who I think Dawn's actually quite a favourable matchup against Perturabo. I've taken Dawn for sure. Corvus Corax I've taken as well.
Yep. First Manus?
Yes, I did take
really?
Ferrus Manus,
Wow, okay.
but that was a Dominator scenario.
Oh,
where
fair enough,
by the time Ferrus Manus made it into combat, Perturabo had 3 Dominators left, and he was again pushing Dominators one by one and clonking with the hammer.
Go forward.
So it wasn't a one-on-one, to be fair to Ferrus Manus.
Fair enough.
And we both had Forge Breaker as well, which is
Vulcan?
hilarious.
Has he killed Vulcan yet?
I don't think I've faced Vulcan in version 2.
Probably not, no.
Yeah. So overall, Perturabo is an absolute worthy
That's
choice.
most of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah, many of them. And Valdor as well.
Okay,
taken Valdor. So yeah, he's absolutely a worthy addition and an absolute brute in combat. And so yeah, I'd absolutely recommend using the Lord of Iron, not only for the army-wide benefit, but for having that exclusion zone of you do not want to go near this man at any point. Like a lot of the Primarchs, really. But
no one's going near Primarch.
He's an absolute thug, and
rightly so.
Yeah, and he will take out armor and infantry with equal ease.
Yeah.
He's really good at what he does. Yeah.
Great.
So that's Perturabo in a nutshell.
Excellent. Okay, right. So we've been through it quite a lot anyway.
Yeah.
But maybe just tidy it up a little bit. So
yeah, sure.
We talked about how you use them effectively. So is there any other things you want to talk about in respect to using the army effectively?
Yeah, sure. So as I said, in version 1 it's very much a gunline list, and obviously that's where I moved into version 2, having all the models and all the squads that were from a gunline. And you have to adapt, and you have to start using the shrapnel bolters. You move forward, you bring in dominators, so it's updated for sure. These days, when I go to kind of competitive events, or if I want to play a game to a high standard, I will still resort to the gunline list, but with a very strong kind of anti-assault factor. So
Counterpunch.
Absolutely that. Because what you do basically is I choose to take a really gun-heavy list, take all those heavy support choices, take the las cannons, maybe Volkite Corvarins, Scorpii even, for example. Take augury scanners everywhere. Take a Master of Signals to disrupt the deep strike on 50% of the time. And then have a counterpunch unit. And what that means is, if the enemy stay their range from you, they're a shooting gallery, and you can outshoot them. You can almost outshoot them every time. If the enemy advance towards you, shoot them until they get near, then hit them with the counter unit, which would probably be like Dominators, or Perturabo with the Dominators, or your Praetor with Dominators, or Iron Circle.
Everything with Dominators.
Everything with Dominators, yeah, absolutely. And so if they stay at range, they're in trouble. If they advance at you, they're in trouble. If they deep strike in, they're really risking it with the Master of Signals as well. And then all those intercepts that unfortunately takes about 20 minutes to resolve, and then removes half the opponent's army, and then they try and assault, and then they get overwatched again. I went to Brighton Heresy 6 last weekend, and I played 3 armies that were deep striking on me, and all 3 of them were disrupted by the Master of Signals, and all 3 of them paid the price, unfortunately, for that.
So just to remind people, when we get the reserves in, we roll first. Is it 1 dice?
You place 1 unit for sure.
So you get them in. You pick when they come in, right?
So you do your reserve rolls.
Yeah.
So unless you've
roll
got
a deep strike assault.
Yeah, that's it. Unless you've got an exceptional rule like Day of Revelations for Blood Angels, you roll your 3 up for the squad to come in.
So they come in.
They come in. You place your first squad. you scatter it if you need to scatter it.
Mhm.
That's what comes down, and then you make the dice roll for all the other units.
And then the disrupting on the master signal. What does that work against? Does it work against the first roll or
It works against all the other units. So the first one that comes down is
Yeah.
going to always land where it's going to land.
Yeah.
But then on the roll of a 1, 2, or 3,
Mhm.
all the other units coming in get placed by the
Yeah.
opponent, which is
Yeah.
horrendous.
Yeah.
So
It is horrendous,
and, and it's 24 inches.
Yeah.
So again, if you're facing a gunline list and you whiff it on a 1, 2, or 3, all those units are going to go 24 inches away
and then get shot to pieces.
and then shot. I mean, a horrendous example I did recently was when I was playing a Blood Angels player.
Daniel, I think, wasn't it?
Daniel, yeah.
Lovely
And
guy.
I bunched his 2 squads of Angels Tears right up close together, then hit them with a pair of Scorpius. Because, unfortunately, I got to place them. So
Yeah.
24 inches away from Sanguinius, and then they got barraged by 2
God.
Scorpius. And you can imagine the casualties that comes out
Yeah.
of that. So having a Master of Signals for an Iron Warriors army, it's
So good.
it's great. So yeah, so in short, basically, if I want to play competitively and well with them, it's a gun line with a counter punch
Yeah.
and lots of augury scanners for
Yeah.
free intercept
Makes sense.
and a Master of Signals as
Yeah.
well. Of course, you mix it up. You take a salty list, you take Terminator heavy list, you take all sorts of things like that. The one thing you don't really take ever is Termite assault drills anymore, and that's because in both Ironfire and Hammer of Olympia, you can't do subterranean assault.
Excellent. Can't take them anyway.
You can't do flanking assault. You can't do deep strike assault. So
I think the only way you stop the master signal being such a problem is you just take a solid, massive unit, one unit with attached characters.
Yeah.
So then you can't. So then the bonuses for the master signal disrupting just doesn't work.
Absolutely.
And then you just take it. You have to take it in the face.
Absolutely.
And if you can soak that up, and you get into what is hopefully the gunline element of the army, you can crush that before their combat starts to come around and try and deal with you.
Absolutely.
And that's really the only way I think
Yeah.
of a deep strike assault being effective.
Yeah.
And enormous, and it does sound quite, first edition, an enormous Death Star really.
Yeah.
That can take. Could you imagine all the punishment you put out, all those shots you were just talking about, Bit of Fury and all these augury scanners, all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's so much coming at you.
It does. Yeah.
Unless you take a huge unit that's really hard to kill, and mediocre units just die.
Yeah.
3+ saves can get almost wiped out.
Absolutely.
So it's a tough one.
Yeah, so that's how I play Iron Warriors these days. I'll say the gun line with the counter punch. You'd be a fool not to take a counter punch because the minute someone gets close by, they mulch your squads.
Yeah,
they go through squad at a time, squad at a time.
You've got to take that counter punch. You have to, because if you have a
Absolutely.
pure gun line, you get deep strike assault. They'll string it out, hit 4 or 5 units, and what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's it. You lose all your fire base in one round,
Yeah.
and then they just take your
Turn 2, it's over.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my summary really. And as I say, you can vary that theme obviously. But if I want to do well with the Iron Warriors, if I'm playing playing to win, playing to give my opponent a real game, that's probably the optimum build that I go for.
Great, awesome. All right, so probably just one last question, I think.
Yeah, sure.
So, in regards to what do you think? We've talked a little bit about it, but what do you think you would like to be FAQ'd and possible future releases? 2 questions there, I suppose.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So FAQ, obviously neatening up Bitter Fury, so you know if it's the reacting unit or it's any unit. That's really good. Also having all those retinues and the Tormentor taken away from Perturabo, so they could just be taken as a retinue with him, but not in his points, would be ideal as well. I think they're the biggies for the Iron Warriors in particular. Just those 2 neat up things. Also with the shrapnel weaponry, it's a bit of a muddle about where you can and can't apply shrapnel weaponry. For example, if you've got a tank with a heavy bolter, that can be turned into a shrapnel cannon.
Okay.
If you've got a twin-linked heavy bolter, you can't. Because it's not a heavy bolter, it's a twin-linked heavy bolter, and it's not the same weapon.
Okay.
And so, in a sense, exactly. There's a few, a combi bolter can't be shrapnel and something else. It has to be a normal bolter.
Sure.
And I think just tightening up where you can take shrapnel weaponry or making it definitive, or either like we intended it not to be like this.
Isn't there bolt weapons and las weapons, or is that am I seeing?
No, you're right. You have bolt weaponry and auto
just
weaponry.
Say bolt weapons. And everything under that.
Maybe,
Easy,
yeah. It's because they've written it in a prescriptive way. They've written down what you can change, and a lot of things therefore aren't on that list.
Okay.
So it's strange that you can't have, a twin-linked shrapnel cannon on an Android Proteus because it's a twin-linked weapon. It's not a normal heavy bolter, and so by the word of the rules, you can't do it. So I'd like that to be changed as well. So yeah, just neatening up a few of the areas with retinues, bit of fury, and maybe making the bolt weaponry for shrapnel weaponry more inclusive, or at least making it clear and say we intended not to have it on these, and then you know either way.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
that's the FAQ stuff really.
Great.
Future releases.
More loyalist Iron Warriors.
No. Absolutely not. No. I mean, I think the Iron Warriors are certainly not short on named units when you include the legacies.
Yeah.
With the Titan Siege Terminators, the Dominators, the Iron Havocs, and so on, Iron Circle, you're not short there.
No, that's a good amount.
I think a few traitor characters would be nice.
Yeah, there's only two.
One.
One?
Just Rasmus Gold, who's really bland.
What's that other guy? Forex.
Forex, Forex, yeah.
Where's he?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Forex.
So yeah, exactly. So having a few named, characters, who are a bit flavourful, a bit different. Sometimes you'll play another Legion, and they'll have a really great named character, and you'll think, oh, I wish I had something like that. Not bitter. I wish I had something like that. So I think rules-wise, I can't complain at all about these Legion-specific units. Yeah. But some traitor named characters for the Iron Warriors would be lovely. Cool. And I always dream. I think it's in Storm of Iron when they got the rhinos.
What book?
What a phenomenal book!
Oh my god!
If you've never read Storm of Iron, even if you're not an Iron Warriors fan, read it once.
What a book!
Yeah,
well, Forex is in that, isn't he?
Yeah.
What a book! It
takes you through an Iron Warriors siege, the whole book, and it's a thing of beauty, isn't it? It's incredible.
Amazing. Yeah.
I think it's in Storm of Iron. I may be wrong. That they have rhinos with interlocking plates, so the rhinos drive up, and then they extend armor plates out the side and lock together to make like a moving barricade. Yeah. And just maybe if there was like an Iron Warriors vehicle that was unique, that'd be lovely. But that's pipe dream stuff. That's wishful thinking.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But rules wise, I'm sure you'll see it in the comments section every week on the Games Workshop website or Games Workshop social media pages. Yeah. Oh no, it's where the models.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have Praetor models yet, but again, this might be outdated soon.
They need to give artistic license to everyone. Just bring out the rules. Let them just kit bash. Yeah. Or just make their own ones. Yeah. Then you can have some awesome rules. Yeah. And people can do their awesome converting. Yeah. And just leave them to it.
That's it. I think. Having models for Dominators would be lovely. Having models for Iron Havocs would be lovely. Having models.
Well, you know how long they take to release things. Yeah. You know how long it takes. Pretty much forever. Or how long it takes years for them to do it. I mean, look at the poor, sort of.
Shadow Legions. The Shadow Legions get
ready. Legions, are they in anything? Yeah. I don't know if they are. Maybe I'm wrong. Are they in any of the books, Shadow Legions?
No, I don't know that well enough. No, I don't know.
Maybe I don't know, but I can't remember.
Yeah, so for future releases, I definitely like just some more models, please. As I say, this may all be outdated at some point in the future. I hope I am outdated soon. But Praetor models, Iron Havocs, Dominators, and then maybe a few traitor characters with their own model as well would be lovely. I mean, we've seen how well the Fists and the Sons of Horus have been treated with the Cathonia rules and all the glut of new models. The Sons of Horus and Fists are spoilt now for character models, new squads and everything like that. I hope all the other legions will get that in time as well. But the Iron Warriors do struggle along with very few released models of any type. So hopefully future releases underneath Games Workshop's lead will be grand as well.
That's it. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Yeah. Right. So I think we've come to sort of the end of where we want to go to. Probably what we'll do next is I'll probably say thanks now. Thanks for
you're welcome.
Spending your time to talk about Iron Warriors. I think hopefully everyone can agree with me. It's been such an eye-opening thing and really enjoyable for me to understand how the Iron Warriors work really in depth and have a really sort of deep dive into it. It's been really interesting. Awesome chat. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on as well. I actually enjoyed sitting here waffling for an hour plus about my beloved Iron Warriors as well. So more than welcome. Thank you.
So all we'll do at the end is just have a quick little video and talk through what you've got in front of us, and I think we'll end it there.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Awesome stuff. All right, so got a selection from John's models. So this guy, who is it?
This is Arcadius. He is my Master of Signals with his Graviton Mace.
Yeah. He's cool as hell.
Yeah.
This chap here?
He's just a champion from a breaching squad.
Cool. The crest goes the other way, doesn't it? A bit like
transverse crest, that's what it's called. So these are some of my tactical squads. So you've got a Grunt, then you've got the Vexilla, the Nuncio Vox, the Sergeant, and the Augury Scanner. Then we've got,
Yeah.
next up is Lycurgus, the Praetor. He is much hated and reviled amongst the community. He's my Praetor. I don't even like him myself, and I always find an excuse to get him killed if I possibly can. Such is the way. And then we have 3 of the Dominators who fight alongside Lycurgus or Perturabo.
Mostly Perturabo, isn't it?
Absolutely. Then we've got an Autocannon Iron Havoc or Heavy Sport Marine. We've got a Las Cannon Iron Havoc or Sport Marine. And then we've got a Contemptor Dreadnought with the famous Gravis Melter Cannon and Power Fist combination. One of the most optimum builds, I think, when it comes to a Contemptor
good, aren't they?
And as I said, a rarely used assault drill, much loved in version 1, barely seen the light of day in version 2. And of course, the gloriously painted Perturabo by Tom. An absolutely gorgeous model, and he's painted it wonderfully, and I'm eternally grateful to him for that.
All right, awesome. Okay, thanks, mate. Great, listen to that, and on to the next one. Cheers, mate.
Thank you.